Great Ocean Road is one of Australia's most iconic road trips, stretching 250 kilometres along Victoria's southern coast, through some of the country's most spectacular natural landscapes.
Whoa, they don't even look real.
After spending the last 7 weeks road tripping the East Coast from Sydney to Cairns, we were excited to take on one final adventure before leaving Australia. Hello and welcome back to another video. We're currently in the state of Victoria in southern Australia, and we're here to do the Great Ocean Road. So the Great Ocean Road is a 250 kilometre road that runs along the south coast of Victoria, and it's supposed to be one of the best road trips in the world. It was built by former soldiers after the First World War as a tribute to the soldiers who didn't make it back, and it's become one of the most iconic road trips in Australia. We came down from Cairns last night and it's dropped about 10 degrees. It feels like we could be in the UK right now, which is why I'm wearing my jumper. So this morning we went into Melbourne and picked up our car from Juicy Rentals and drove to the start of the road in Torquay. Over the next 3 days we're going to be driving the 250 kilometres there and back again. So I'm really excited to get started. We've just driven around 30 minutes from Torquay to the Memorial Arch, which is the most iconic image of the Great Ocean Road. We did skip past Torquay, which is a really cool surfing town with some interesting history, but we are going to be going back through it on our way to Melbourne, so we are going to stop there on our way back. Just arrived at our second stop, Teddy's Lookout, which is supposed to be the nicest viewpoint on the whole of the Great Ocean Road. We can see some dark shapes swimming around in the water below us, and I think they might be sharks. That looks like a shark to me. Okay, so we're leaving Teddy's Lookout and heading to our next stop, which is Kennet River Koala Walk. If you watched our East Coast road trip series, you'll know that we spent weeks searching for wild koalas, and then eventually we found 2 of them in Magnetic Island. But we're back again on the search for more. We're still not sick of koalas. There's a spot near Kennet River where there's meant to be a really good chance of seeing them. So that's what we're doing now. It's a walk along this gravel road, and they're supposed to just be at the side of the road, and you keep walking and eventually you'll hopefully find one.
That's all, that's it then.
We found one! We spotted a second one. We've got one koala there, another koala there, kangaroo over there. Last time we saw koalas, it was the middle of the day, so they were all sleeping. They get a lot more active later in the day. It's around 5 o'clock now, so it must be the koalas' dinner time. Mission accomplished. 2 more wild koalas. Both of them awake. So that's 4 we've seen in total since we've been in Australia. It was so good. So now we're going to head back down to our car and onto Apollo Bay, which is where we are staying tonight. We've just checked into our youth hostel. We're staying in the YHA Apollo Bay and we get to stay in a bed tonight. It might not look like much, but after 5 months sleeping in a van, this is going to be pretty nice. You excited to not be sleeping in 30-degree heat? We're now going to head out to a brewery for a drink, and then we're going to go and find somewhere to get dinner. Spotted a koala outside our accommodation. It's so close to us. Well, that's a pretty good way to start the day. We just woke up and now we're going to get ready to go and start day 2 of the Great Ocean Road. It's pretty cloudy today, but hopefully it's going to brighten up a bit in the afternoon. It's also 13 degrees, which is 20 degrees colder than it was in Cairns when we left. It's crazy, it feels like being back in the UK. We've been driving for about an hour and we've come to the most famous landmark on the whole of the Great Ocean Road, the 12 Apostles. Whoa, they don't even look real. I'm normally not a huge fan of a lookout, as they usually feel quite artificial and far away from the thing you're trying to see. But this one just has a perfect view. So nice. We're now heading to the Gibson Steps, which is just around the corner from the 12 Apostles lookout. I think these steps take us down to the beach, so hopefully we should have a good view. We're now down on the beach and it's so nice. We've got a really good view of one of the Apostles. I read that the Aboriginal name for the 12 Apostles was the sow and the piglets, and I think this big one here is the sow. A few people have asked us which we think has better landscapes between Australia and New Zealand, and until recently New Zealand just edged out Australia, but after today and seeing the 12 Apostles, that's a big tick for Australia. This is amazing. Definitely better than anything coastal that we saw in New Zealand. It's lunchtime now, so we're going to head back to the car and have some leftover curry from last night, and then we're going to continue along the Great Ocean Road. We're staying in Port Campbell tonight, but our plan is to go all the way to London Arch and then come back again to Port Campbell. And then tomorrow we're going to go from Port Campbell back to Torquay. So we're going to have a chance to see all the things that we missed on our way here. We've now come a bit further down the road to Loch Ard Gorge, which I'd heard nothing about, but it's pretty spectacular. So this gorge was named after a ship called Loch Ard, which wrecked here. And this walk actually takes you down to see the wreck of the ship. So apparently that beach wasn't where you can see the wreck. That was where 2 of the survivors washed up. The only 2 survivors. But we came back up to the top of the cliffs and we're walking around this path, and this will take us to a spot where we can see the wreck. So that's the site of the wreck down there. But you can't actually see it from the surface. Still look pretty nice though. So that's what happens when you go somewhere without knowing anything about it beforehand. So we've just reached our final stop of the day, and the furthest that we're going to travel along the Great Ocean Road. This is London Arch. So this actually used to have 2 arches, one there and one there, and back then it was called London Bridge, but after the closer arch collapsed, they changed the name to London Arch. Okay, that was London Arch. Now we're going to head back to Port Campbell, where we're going to be staying tonight. We've just checked into our accommodation in Port Campbell, and weirdly, the family room was the cheapest option, so lots of beds to choose from. Yeah, we're going to go into Port Campbell now and go for a drink at the, what's it called? Sow and Piglets Brewery. Cheers! Good morning. It is our 3rd and final day on the Great Ocean Road, and today we're going to start heading back to Torquay, but first we're going to head a bit further along the Great Ocean Road to a spot called the Bay of Islands. So this is the Bay of Islands, and there are so many cool rock formations here, and the colours are amazing, the reds and the yellows, and then you've got the green on top, and the water is so blue. It's such a nice stop. Okay, so this is the furthest west that we're going, and now we're going to start heading east, back to Torquay. We just stopped in Peterborough to get a coffee and brought them down to this really nice spot on the beach. Cheers! Not a bad view. That water looks pretty inviting. If it wasn't so cold, I would be tempted to jump in. Okay, back on the road, and our next stop is Lorne, where we're going to go and get some lunch. Couldn't wait until we got to Lorne, so we had to stop in Apollo Bay to get our lunch. We went for a couple of toasties from Raw Bar. We've just reached our last stop before Torquay, This is Split Point Lighthouse behind me here. So there are 3 white shapes on that rock over there, and we're pretty sure they're penguins. If they are, that's very cool. We've just arrived in Torquay and checked into our accommodation. Originally we were going to go to Bell's Beach this afternoon, which is one of the most famous surfing beaches in all of Australia, and it's right here in Torquay. But we discovered that it's actually really good timing, and the Rip Curl Pro surfing competition actually starts tomorrow. So we're going to save that visit for tomorrow morning and to go and see the launch of this surfing competition instead. So this evening we're going to head into town, go and find somewhere to get a beer and then go for dinner, which has pretty much been our plan every night on the Great Ocean Road. Good morning. We've just come into Torquay, and unfortunately the surfing competition has been called off for today due to unsuitable wave conditions, which is a shame, but we're still going to go down to the beach and check it out anyway. It's a really famous surfing beach, so it'll still be really cool. But first we're going to go and find somewhere to get breakfast. Back at our favourite place. Avocado toast for me. Acai bowl for Amy. Very nice. So this here is Bell's Beach, and it's one of the most famous surfing beaches in Australia. It was the location of the final surfing contest in Point Break with Keanu Reeves, and it's also the home of Rip Curl and Quicksilver. So, really cool place. The surfing competition is not going on today, but there are still some really good surfers out there. Some of the best surfing I've seen since we've been in Australia. This is the perfect final stop on our Great Ocean Road trip. So that is the end of our Great Ocean road trip. I really hope you've enjoyed watching. Give it a thumbs up if you did, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye.